wanted to do was bring some happiness to the town. Nonetheless, the idea was a little wacky, I admit it. But when we asked Martin how exactly he thought of it, he said in so many words, it seemed obvious. Now, this is how creative this guy is. He thinks putting giant mirrors on the edge of the mountain is a no-brainer. And while it's not exactly a no-brainer, I should tell you that Martin was not the first one to come up with this idea. So here's a little town history. In 1905, Ryokan was founded by an engineer. He was brilliant. He harnessed the power of the local waterfall to generate hydroelectricity. And at the time, it was the world's biggest power plant. In fact, the plant was so significant that during World War II, Nazis seized control of it and used it to produce heavy water, which is a crucial element in making the H-bomb. Now, thanks to the heroics of the Norwegian special operatives, they destroyed the plant and thus thwarting the Nazis' plans. But back to Ida. It was said that one of his factory workers had actually suggested the mirrors as early as 1913. And Ida, he actually seriously considered it. But unlike Martin, he thought it was impossible. Instead, his company built a cable car so that the factory workers could access the sun in the winter. Now that cable car, it still exists today. And it took 100 or so years, but finally, Martin came along, just daring enough to get that project started.
So I just started to dig in the material and see, okay, what will make this not happen? And there was not really anything. It was not a big amount of money. It was not technical limitations. It was maybe the craziness of the idea who was the only thing who didn't make it happen before, I think.
Okay, so at first, people were delighted by the idea. A few even told Martin that they had actually thought of it as well, but didn't think it was possible. But as Martin started to really advocate for it and get politicians involved, some people in the town became very skeptical and even protested the idea. They said it would be too expensive, it's too impractical. Things were just fine just the way they are. But Martin, he didn't give up. He fought for this idea because he knew that a little bit of sun could make a huge difference for such a small town. Eventually, enough people actually believed in Martin's vision to convince the local politicians to go through with it.
I think I'm very stubborn. Maybe I'm stupid. Yeah, that should do it.
Now, Martin, he worked with a German company to come up with a final design and to install the mirrors. And these are not just ordinary mirrors. They're controlled by computer-driven motors that follow the sun's path on the horizon. So they are constantly repositioning to maximize the amount of sunlight reflected. And all of this is powered by solar panels. Now, after nearly a decade of research, planning, and protests from the town, the mirrors were finally ready on October 18, 2013. The entire town, they all gathered together. You had journalists come from all around the world to witness the sight, and school children were taken out of class for the big day. Townspeople, they lounged in lawn chairs, drank tropical-themed cocktails, and they even played beach volleyball, all waiting for the main event. Now the sun, that's what they were waiting for. And then, all of a sudden, the moment comes. The sun hits the exact right position, and the square, well, it is bathed in light.
I felt very happy because when I started to work with it, it was like it was a bit like a dream. I had this dream that you see this ray of light coming down, and you walk through town, and suddenly you see sunlight in this place. You define this place with sunlight. So for me, it was nice. It was emotional.
And as for those skeptics,
I think they just disappeared. I think everybody, when they saw it, a lot of people came over to me and they said, yeah, this is beautiful.
now if you're having trouble picturing what the light from the mirror actually looks like, it's almost like a spotlight on the town square like a theater. It's not quite full bath of sunlight that you're used to, but even in the dead of winter, Ryokan gets a few meaningful drops of sun during the darkest days. Now, many said that it's changed their lives, it's brightened up their days. It made the town more social.
The square is being used. When I moved there, it was a parking place and there was no life in the square. But now it's used and it's renovated with the ice skating field and I see a lot of people each day. I see people coming there to take photos, like tourists. They come and take photos. People are, at least when they are on the square, they're all smiling. When you go into the sun, you smile. That's the reaction.
And in the center of town, next to the skating rink and the smiling tourist, is a statue. And it's a statue of Sam Ida, the founder of Ryokan. And that monument is actually wonderfully poetic. Because Sam Ida, he had an idea to harness the power of the waterfall. And today, Martin's Mirrors harnesses the power of the sun and shines down on that statue. Ida's vision created a town, but Martin's has built a community. Now, Northern Europe, it is an extreme place, and it can seem foreboding and even inhospitable. But for centuries, people have worked relentlessly to build homes here. And perhaps because of this, there is a very sweet and immense connection people feel to this land. Now, I want to go back to Gunter, our tunnel expert, because he described this sentiment perfectly.
People have a relation to their valley. If they're born there, they have a relation to it all their life. I think people all over has something like that. They have a good place. It's called a smultronställe in Swedish, which is the place where you pick, small strawberries that taste so good. That's it.
So from Vikings to modern day engineers and artists, people have come up with ingenious solutions that work with the land instead of fighting it. And in doing so, they are honoring their own little strawberry patches while giving everyone here something to be proud of. Here's what Gunter said about the legacy of projects like the Lardile Tunnel.
There's signals of something that connects us together. It was a uniting symbol that you love because you're proud of it. And that's important for people.
Epic lands require epic innovations. From Viking longships to innovative tunnels and giant mirrors that harness the sun. But as big as these solutions may be, the amazing thing is that they're all about people. Making life in this incredible place a little easier, a little more connected, and a little happier. So in other words, it's a little more Scandinavian. Thank you so much for joining me today.